welcome back to our second night of virtual Bible school. Tonight we're going to hear a story about the shield of faith. We've got a special surprise too, so stay tuned. Once we finish the Bible story, we're going to do a couple of songs. Hopefully everybody's gotten their music CD. So tonight's story is about faith. Walking by faith isn't easy, especially if it means walking on water. In today's Bible story, Jesus had just finished feeding more than 5,000 people. And as the crowd began to disperse, Jesus instructed his disciples to go on ahead to the other side of the lake. So they followed his instructions, and the Bible says that Jesus went up on a mountain to pray. Evening came, and soon the disciples found themselves fighting a mighty headwind. And they were far from land, but then something totally surprising happened.
Jesus and the disciples and Peter are part of tonight's story about being loving and patient. The disciples said, "Can you believe that we just fed 5,000? Plus women and children," the other disciple said. And Peter said, "Technically, Jesus fed 5,000, plus women and children." Peter said, "We helped." All the disciples said, "Still, it's pretty cool. Peter, how did he do that, starting with only 5 small loaves and 2 fish?" Peter said, "It's a miracle." Everybody said, "It's a miracle." "So what are we supposed to do with 12 baskets of leftover food?" Peter said, "Jesus told us to get into the boat and go to the other side." The disciples said, "Doesn't he want to come with us?" And they called out, "Hey, Jesus, aren't you coming too? We've got plenty of leftover fish, if you're not tired of fish by now." The disciples said, "Hey, where is he going?" And Peter said, "To the mountain. He wants some time alone to pray." "Oh, think you might want some fish?" Peter said, "Ugh, no thanks, I'm exhausted." "Me too," agreed the other disciples, "and the gentle rocking of the boat makes me very sleepy. I don't know about you, but I could use a nap." "Yeah," Peter said. Everybody said, "Yeah," and they were yawning and they were tired. So they sat back in the boat, sleeping and snoring. And as Jesus prayed on the mountain, the disciples and Peter snored louder and continued to sleep. And as Peter and the other disciples slept on the boat, as they slept softly, as they slept, a strong wind came. "Okay, knights, I need for y'all to help me. Let's make sounds together. And let's see if we can wake up the disciples." The disciples suddenly woke up. The wind made the waves even bigger and bigger, and the boat began to rock to and fro, to and fro. They drifted farther and farther away from the land. It was early in the morning when Jesus came to his disciples. Remember, they were still in their boat in the middle of the lake. "Look," said one of the disciples, "there's something or someone walking on the water right towards us." The other disciple said, "It's a ghost." The other one said, "A ghost? A ghost?" And Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. Be encouraged. It's me. Don't be afraid. Peter said, It's not a ghost, it's Jesus, and he's walking on the water. The disciples said, How's he doing that? Peter said, It's a miracle. All the disciples said, It's a miracle. Peter steps out and said, Hey, if Jesus can walk on water, maybe he can help us walk on water too. Come on. And the disciples said, No thanks. No thanks. I don't think you're supposed to walk on water for at least 12 hours after a meal. And the other disciples said, You go ahead, Peter. Lord, if it's you, order me to come out on the water, Peter said. Jesus said, Come. Peter said, Okay, you've got this, to himself. Just stay focused on Jesus. You can do it. The disciples said, Peter's really walking on water. I'm really walking on water, Peter said. And the others said, Man, look at the waves. And Peter said, Look at those waves. The last disciple said, I can't believe it. Peter said, I can't believe it either. I'm sinking. The disciple said, He's sinking like a stone. The other one said, Well, his name does mean rock. Peter said, Lord, rescue me. And Jesus said, You man of weak faith, why do you begin to have doubts? The disciples said, Well, Peter, we had it there for a second. Peter said, Let's worship Jesus, the true miracle. And all of them said, You must be God's son. Oh, does Mama need the mic? Does Mama need the mic? Does Mama need the mic? Ask him. Do I need to get this to Mom? Do you need? Here, I'm trying to. Here, it's not real good. I don't think. Is it? Here you go.
Our first song is Hot, Hot, Burning Up. So we are going to be doing some motions with the DVD. This is track number 5 on your CD that you got in your packet. And again, it's called Hot, Hot, Burning Up. and the last song that we're going to do is kind of a preview of our last Bible story tomorrow night. So this song is Earthquake. It is track number 8, and it's a preview of the story that we're going to hear tomorrow night. Thank you for joining us, and just a reminder, tonight's story was all about faith, so armor up with faith.